everybody. I'm Leora Sims. Welcome to my channel, and welcome to another episode of my Sims 4 Law and Order SVU series. If you missed any of the previous episodes, please go back and watch them, and please pay attention to the information provided in the description of the video, especially if you or someone you know is in need of help. Before I get back into gameplay and storytelling today, I have some important things to tell you. I spend a lot of time on this series talking about self-esteem and not letting anyone hold you back, not letting their judgments of you hold you back from your dreams and from your goals. And I believe what I tell you. But sometimes even I need a pep talk. Sometimes the things that people say to me get to me. Even now. And in some ways, I feel stronger than I have ever felt in my life. But even now, I can be hurt by people's words. Last week, I had a conversation, which I will tell you about in another video. What you need to know now is that this conversation really upset me. And the person who I had this conversation with last week meant well. Everything this person said was said out of love. But when you're trying to do something, the last thing that you want is to hear somebody's negativity. A few days after this conversation, I discovered a comedian / motivational speaker. Her name is Buckley. And Kathy Buckley is, to my knowledge, the first famous deaf comedian. All of her comedy is based on her real life. It's based on things that happened to her. And she reminded me that I can achieve all of my goals. She also reminded me that sometimes people with disabilities like myself are driven to achieve their dreams and goals, but that they are late bloomers. It takes someone like me a longer time to achieve a lot of different goals. And that's just the reality of my life. And because of my abusive relationship, I had a setback. That whole relationship, that whole period of my life was a setback. And it kept me down for quite a while, but I am getting back up. I'm going to eventually get the training somehow to become a rape counselor. I'm going to do motivational speaking. I'm going to open my nonprofit. And I'm going to make this world a better place. I'm going to put my degrees to use. Let me tell you a little bit about Kathy. Kathy Buckley is deaf, as I said. But for some time, she went to a special school because they thought that she was mentally retarded. And I use the word retarded in the clinical sense. No disrespect is meant whatsoever. She went to a school for retardation. It took the school 2 years to figure out that Kathy Buckley was deaf. That she only was deaf. That she had a hearing impairment, and that's all it was. And then they put her in a regular school after they gave her hearing aids. And she couldn't understand the students. She couldn't understand the teachers because they talked too fast. And it took her a very long time to learn how to read lips and to speak in a way that people could understand her. But she did it. And Kathy said that a regular school wasn't for her because she wanted to be accepted. She had this need to belong, because we all have a need to belong somewhere. And she wanted the kids to like her, so she would steal. And give things that didn't belong to her to children. Because she wanted to belong. She wanted them to like her. She wanted them to understand her. And they didn't. But now she is understood. And she goes around the country speaking about all the things that people can do if they put their mind to it. At some point in Kathy Buckley's life, she was on a beach and she was run over by a jeep. And she was paralyzed. She didn't walk for 2 years, and she says that she was laid up for 5 years. But she walked again, and I really appreciate her because she reminded me that although I had a setback, and many setbacks, that I can still achieve my dreams despite the disability. You can do anything that you put your mind to, no matter how hard life gets. You deserve the best. You deserve to be treated with kindness. You deserve to be accepted. And you deserve to make this world a better place. No matter what your obstacles. Kathy Buckley told a story about how she made a judgment. She who never wants to be judged. She was invited to speak at the Kennedy Center in New York. And they told her to go to the green room and not to make any noise because the noise travels and people would be able to hear it. She saw all these people around, and then she looked to the wall and she saw a woman in a reclining wheelchair. This woman really did not have the ability to move. And she couldn't talk. I don't think that Kathy knew that to begin with. She looked at this woman and she said, "What kind of a life is this? She can't move. She can't talk. She has nothing to contribute to society." But despite the fact that those thoughts went through her brain for a very short time, she went over to the woman and she said, "Hi, how are you?" And the woman blinked. And the assistant came over to Kathy and told Kathy that when this woman blinks, it means yes. When she blinks once, it means yes. When she blinks twice, it means no. So Kathy made a joke that she spent all of these years learning how to communicate. And now she has to go to school to learn how to communicate using eyelids. And this woman in the wheelchair laughed at the joke. And once she realized that she could communicate with this woman, she and the woman had a very nice time together. And I'm sure that they were making a lot of noise in this green room. That night at the Kennedy Center, the woman in the wheelchair, who was married, by the way, received an award. She wrote 2 books using her eyelids and technology as her source of communication. So you see, this woman, the woman in the wheelchair, may have looked like she couldn't contribute. She may have looked like she couldn't communicate, but she could. And all she needed was for people to know that. And once they knew that, and it took a long time, they worked with her to communicate. And they gave her this technology called a wood board. And with this technology, she was able to write. And she was able to get married and have a life, despite the fact that she had a lot of trouble moving. But her dream was realized. She wanted to be an advocate. She wanted to be a writer. And she did it, despite the fact that she could barely move. And she got married, despite the fact that she could barely move. So yes, you can do anything. And you should not listen to the negative, because the negative will only bring you down. And I understand that it's very hard not to listen to negative, because I tell you all the time not to listen to the negative things people say. But because of something that was said to me last week, I became sad. And I became discouraged. Because that is normal. But I had to make a decision not to be depressed. So I made a phone call. And then I listened to Kathy Buckley. And she reminded me that although life is tough, I can still achieve what I need to achieve. And I want you to remember that. And in other videos, I'm sure that I will get back to Kathy Buckley at least once more. And I would like to read the book that the woman in the wheelchair, Ruth, wrote. And when I read that book, I will tell you about it. Try not to listen to the negative. And if you find yourself listening to the negative and getting down, pull yourself back up. Comedy can help that sometimes. So thank you, Kathy Buckley. And I did contact Kathy Buckley last night. And if she writes me back, I will let you know. I will be back with gameplay. Remember to follow your dreams. And make this world a better place. Olivia Benson is here with Tally Weaver at this gym that I built, and she is trying to get Tally's self-esteem up. Sometimes exercise can help. I think it depends on every person. But it's important, and I will talk about this in another video, to be able to defend yourself from physical harm. So she is going to box with Tally, and hopefully she'll get so pumped up from this that she'll be able to have the option to give Tally a pep talk. Because pep talks really do help you, or at least I can say that they've helped me in the past, to restore your sense of confidence. Because even a confident person can have a moment where they don't feel so confident. Even the character of Olivia Benson feels that way sometimes. She hides it very well, but it's there. Can they box together? Is that possible? Will she follow her? I think that these punching bags are very good if you can use them for anger. I used to have some, well, I still do. I have some therapy equipment. It's called a bolster. You sit on the bolster um, the way you would sit on a horse, but it lays flat, and you put your legs around it, and it's supposed to keep you stretched. And you can do exercises from the bolster, but it's shaped like this. So when I was in very good shape and I was angry, I would use my bolster, which is made of plastic, a soft, very soft plastic, because if it's used the way it's supposed to be used, it has to be soft in order for you to sit on it. And I would just punch that bolster and listen to music while I did it, and it helped me to get out my anger, because once you get past the anger, then you can, and the hurt, then you can move on to do great things. Okay, and now she is so energized that she can give Tally a pep talk. I'm ending this episode here, guys. Be happy, healthy, and stay safe.